Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing my tips about setting up your bullet journal for the month whilst I set up my bullet journal for December. So if that interests you, make sure you stick around, and if you are new, I would love it if you'd consider subscribing. And for those of you that don't already know, I am doing a video every day for 24 days of December for VLOGMAS. So every other day there'll be a daily vlog style video, and then in between will be videos like this with a kind of Christmas theme but with more structure. I'm also posting to my stories daily on Instagram, so make sure you're following me there, and I will be hopefully sharing some further spreads from my bullet journal this month over there as well. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, then make sure to follow me over there at the Onyx Raven. So let's get into setting up our bullet journal. So I'm doing this in December, so it's a December spread, but these tips are for any month, and I know a lot of people will maybe be thinking about setting up a bullet journal for the new year, so I wanted to share my tips. And my first tip is to know exactly what you want in the month. So I usually make a list, and this can change from month to month, and then I actually lay it out. And how I do that is I use these sticky tabs to position where I want the certain spreads, because if you just do it on the fly, you can get really overwhelmed and it can take ages, and you can get in your head about how you want things and where you want things to be, and using sticky tabs means you can move things around. The next thing is have a small set of supplies. Again, this is tied in with that overwhelm thing. So I usually pick out a few Crayola Super Tips, which are my absolute favourites for bullet journal, or you can use Tombows, and also this month I'm using stamps. Other months I've drawn things out, but just have a small selection of supplies that you can go to every month that means you already know what you're using and you're not surrounded by loads and loads of things wondering what to use. So this month I decided to use stamps, and I'm going to put this in as a tip, because if you want your bullet journal to look really creative but maybe you don't draw so well, or you don't feel like you're very creative, let me tell you, I really enjoyed using stamps, and I think I'm going to be using them going forward. So as you can see, I had a couple of sets of Christmas stamps, and that large stamp where all these houses are coming from, that large set came from a magazine. It was free with a magazine. So Christmas is a great time to get hold of Christmas stamps if you don't have any. My favourite ink is the Memento ink, because it doesn't bleed, and I've never had a problem with it in terms of running with pens. I've also just invested in these letter stamps, and I absolutely loved how they turned out. So these are going to also be a permanent part of my bullet journal setup supplies, because I absolutely love the way it looks, and I kind of love the roughness of them. There was some ink that got in the wrong places and stuff, but I absolutely loved that look. And because, like I said earlier with the earlier tip, because I'd already set out what I wanted to do, this was relatively quick, because I just took the sticky tabs off, knew exactly what the pages were going to be, and then just went ahead and did it. Now you're going to see me colouring in this page but I decided not to colour in the rest of the pages. I may do as the month goes on. I don't know, I can't decide if I liked it better coloured in or better not coloured in, so you let me know in the comments what you think. And my next tip, talking about colours, is if you're going down the creative route, or even if you're not, pick a selection of colours. So pick a colour palette for your month, or you may pick a colour palette for your bullet journal in general. because not only can it be tied to a theme, so I picked colours that I like to use for a Christmas theme, but I will then go on and use these colours as my colour coding colours for the month. If you're someone that wants to do a more basic bullet journal system, so without any of the decorative elements, I would still say pick a small kind of colour palette of pens for colour coding, because the more colours you have, again, it's that overwhelm, there's too much information there. So I usually go for 6 as my base colours. Obviously you can see I'm using brown here because I'm colouring in a stamp, but I usually pick 6 colours, and then they are used throughout the month across my different spreads and pages, trackers, in my weeklies, my dailies, as colour coding as well. My next tip would be try not to strive for perfection. There's a lot of things in this spread that you're watching that I got bits of ink on my fingers, so they imprinted out over the pages. Some of the colouring wasn't perfect. And you know what? I love it. I absolutely love it. We can get in our heads about things looking perfect, especially in bullet journals. I see it a lot with bullet journals, so people wanting things to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's yours and it's uniquely yours, and you'll look back at this spread, maybe if you carry on bullet journaling for the next 2 or 3 years, you'll look back at this spread and see how much you've improved. Or maybe you'll look back and actually think, oh, you know what, I really love this page, and it might be because you loved the way it was laid out, you loved the way it was coloured in, or it might take you back to a memory. Whereas, for example, this one for me with the Christmas houses will be, okay, well, this was the Christmas of 2020 when we'd been through so much as humans and staying home a lot, and that will spark that memory and take me back to that time. My next tip is definitely go for a dot grid for a bullet journal. As you can see here, I'm really easily counting the squares that I need to make sure those boxes are in the right place, and it just makes things so much easier. I know some people use plain paper, I don't know how they do it, but I would definitely recommend getting a dot grid journal. The one I use is a Leuchtturm. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I've checked so many times how to pronounce that, so I'm not sure if that's right. It's about making that process easier for yourself every time. All these tips I've picked up have just made my life easier when setting up my bullet journal. See, again, with these stamps, I don't have to worry about my handwriting because I've got these stamps. So obviously my handwriting will come into other areas when I'm writing the to-do lists and stuff, but again, it's about getting in our heads. We can get in our heads about how the title looks, and it looks messy and I don't like it and it looks rubbish. Get yourself some letter stamps, because it's a look in itself as well. It looks amazing. It has that kind of vintage, kind of nostalgic feel about it. My next tip is going to be, don't be afraid to cut things out. month to month. As you can see in this spread here, I'm doing a self-care tracker, and at the top is a habit tracker. I sometimes use these, I sometimes use them for half a month. I'm still getting back into the bullet journal system and committing to it and making a routine out of it. But if something isn't working for you, and these work for me enough for me to keep them, but if something isn't working for you, this is what's great about a bullet journal. Don't think that because you put this certain spread, this certain page, this certain collection in one month, don't think for 1 minute that you have to put it in the next month. Just get rid of it if it's not working. That's what I love about the bullet journal, is because it's not a planner that is already set out for you. You can choose how it's set out. So personalize it to you. And if something's not working, just get rid of it. It doesn't matter if you're doing videos, it doesn't matter if you're posting stuff on Instagram and you think, oh, you know, people are going to see that I've not done that same spread. It doesn't matter. It's about what works for you. Whether you're using it as a functional planner, whether you're using it as more of a journal and a memory keeping capsule, it doesn't matter. Change it month to month to suit you. And that's why you'll see in a moment, which is going to be my next tip, is put a monthly review at the end of your monthly pages. So not any of the collections or to-do lists or anything that may go after these basic pages, but at the end of your weeklies is when I put it. So I put the monthly, the weekly that I'm doing here, then the days, and then I do weekdays, you know, depending on whether it's a 4-week or 5-week month. And then at the end of all that, I do a monthly review. And this is where you can make those notes. Okay, did this page work for me? Do I need this page next month? Do I need this other page? You know, whatever it might be. And going back to the daily pages and the weekly and monthly, another tip of mine would be to put the monthly followed by the weekly and dailies all together and set that up ahead of time. I only do one set here just to show you how I'm setting it up, but I'd put them all together and set them ahead of time so that you can use them in advance as well. So if something comes up in the middle of the month, you have already got your page set up, so you can go straight to that page and write it down. So here's that monthly review I was talking about. Here you can review just things in your life as well, but you also use it to review your month in your bullet journal. Did the layout this month work for you? Was there anything that didn't work for you? Is there anything that you need for next month? And it might be that you have, say, in the next month you have loads of birthdays. So you're like, okay, for this month only, really, I'm going to put a birthday spread in. You know, because there's so many birthdays. So I just want to have a page dedicated to that because I have that. And my final tip is to enjoy the process. It's supposed to be enjoyable. I have been guilty myself of letting it stress me out and overwhelm me. I hope these tips will help you, whether you're new or old to bullet journaling. I hope they help you and make sure you have that joy in bullet journaling. So here's just a flip through of what I've done today, and let me know if you're using a bullet journal, and also if you preferred the coloured in or the uncoloured in stamps. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and make sure to comment down below and let me know if you are planning to use a bullet journal in 2021. Hopefully there'll be more to plan in 2021. But we can't say we haven't had a lot to write down this year in terms of things happening in the world. But anyway, I really hope that you enjoyed it, and if you are not already subscribed, I would love it if you would consider joining my little nest here on YouTube and make sure those notification bells are turned on so you don't miss any of my Vlogmas content this December. And with all that being said, I'm wishing you a lovely evening, day, evening, wherever you are, whatever time it is. I hope you're having the best time possible. Take care, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.